Hello, everyone. Welcome on into OneSoccer.ca. Andy Petrillo, Gareth Wheeler, all over Platt with you. The news we've been waiting for, gentlemen, because we know Major League Soccer synced up all of its TV deals to end at the end of this season. So we knew a big deal was coming. We knew Commissioner Don Garber was also seeking a significant increase in what the league would be paid yearly in a partnership. So they were previously receiving $90 million a year. And now it has been announced that they have entered into a 10-year broadcasting deal with Apple TV that will begin for the 2023 season. We know part of the release said it's a historic first for sports because fans can stream every single MLS match through the Apple TV app without any local blackouts or restrictions. Gentlemen, we also did hear, though, that they are still working with linear channels to possibly do some national TV games as well. So a nice little combination. Other little details in there. If you're a season ticket holder, you can get it for free and watch. So there's a lot that goes into this. But the bottom line is we're talking 10 years, 2.5 billion, 250 million a year. Don Garber getting his increase. Gareth, is this a good move for MLS? What impact do you think it will also have players, league, all around?
First off, I hope this doesn't affect Canadian production people, television people, talent. Going forward, I'm sure there's going to be a significant role for Canadians within this production. But other than that, it's a slam dunk. This is a grand slam. This is just about as good as it gets. It's a lot of money coming MLS's way, and a very important television contract for the clubs. Justifying some of the expansion fees, where this league is actually going. So it's a massive deal from that perspective. But from a production media perspective, this is very much like the Premier League. This is very much like One Soccer and Canadian soccer. Put all your production under one umbrella, control that content, making sure that there's a standard set across the board that then you can go out and potentially sell to linear interests. This is a way that you have consistency in your product. This is a way that you can package it all together for national needs, and then it can trickle down to the local level, local perspective. They can control their voices. This is the way to do it, in my personal opinion. To be able to set the standard and be able to control your own content and what your league is all about. And look, we're at a time where a lot of traditional or linear cable companies don't want to pay massive fees for rights deals for leagues that just aren't automatic in terms of drawing in the big numbers. So a lot of cable companies now will spend big on things like the Super Bowl, the World Cup rights, these sorts of things where you kind of know what you're going to get. For a league like MLS, I just don't think that from a local perspective or a traditional cable perspective, there's enough money to go out and warrant signing a long-term contract. 10 years is big. And yeah, there's not much I can say wrong about this. The whole part about growing the game, I've seen this criticism. Look, I've said this and I'll continue to say this. That is done at the local level. That is done by the clubs. That is something where you need to welcome people into your stadium, show a sense of belonging with your team, and then it transcends from there. That's how the world of football works, really, where independent or local clubs then are able to get a following based upon their success, their star power, their branding, and that sort of thing. But it really starts at the local level for me. So I think that this is something even bigger than I thought. Cord cutters, we all understand what that's about. And I understand that puts a pressure on people, the fact that soccer spread so across the board in terms of streaming options. But at the same time, if the local or the traditional cable companies aren't willing to step up and pay for those rights, because they're all open for auction, they're all open for bid, then this is what happens because of
it. 10-year deal on streaming. Where have we heard that one before? But no, I mostly agree with Wheels. Like I think it has potential. I'm not really interested in the money side of it, because although it is clearly the best deal financially MLS could have hoped for, it comes out at like $5 million per club per year, which is helpful money. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a game changer. I'm also not really interested in the whole linear versus streaming debate, which we've had until, you know, multiple times on this channel. But there's two things that I find really interesting. One is that a lot of us have one of these, and we live in this ecosystem, and MLS now lives in that ecosystem as well. And so I think there's a lot there, you know, in terms of exposure to now be on in that Apple ecosystem and on all those devices, I think is an interesting one. And then the second part of it is, Wheels, you alluded to this, like the creative control, the control over your own productions. Like, I have never seen in my life a transformation of a sport in seemingly overnight in the way that we've seen with Formula One over the past year. Like, it's been unbelievable, right? And there's going to be a lot of copycats of that based on the Netflix series and what they've done there. Not all of them are going to succeed. There's going to be a lot of failed copycats for sure, but it definitely shows you the potential of, if you can create interesting, compelling content, you know, off the pitch around your league, that then obviously feeds into people wanting to watch your matches, the races, whatever it may be. So that's an interesting part of it for me, with MLS partnering with a company that obviously has their own streaming service or their own original content in Apple TV. You know, Ted Lasso, we already know. I'm sure they'll be doing something around that, and those kinds of opportunities I think are pretty interesting. It's not, I don't think, a catch-all solution. Like, I still think MLS has things to address regardless of who it signed a broadcast deal with. Like, I just still don't think that the MLS regular season, which is the bulk of the product, is particularly interesting and compelling at times. And so they still need to address things in those areas to really make for a great broadcast product. But I definitely think that it's a deal that has a lot of potential. And I think it seemed a bit inevitable in some ways that with the TV ratings not being great, that they would go to someone like Apple, who was willing to, you know, invest more in the product and build the products more, and was a bit of a younger service in that sense. So it seemed like an inevitable match, and I do think it's one that could be interesting for the future of the league.
I'm just curious to see now if things will become a little bit more streamlined just when it comes to the finances of the league. I don't want to hear about TAM and GAM anymore. There's just
Yes.
certain things where if you're having more money, and I get what you said, Ollie, I mean, 5 million a team, but we also are talking about, you know, 90 million to 250 million a year. Can we just make things more simple
No.
when it comes to fans to understand how contracts work? And maybe we might see, you know, a designated player. I don't know. Maybe that goes bye-bye and you just kind of raise the salaries. I don't know. That's
I want
I'm
an Apple original series
Yeah.
on TAM and GAM.
no. No.
I love my
Discovery
Apple. And
players.
I love my Apple TV interface, honestly. And it you know, honestly, Ollie, like, they're a content making company now, and they can make that content if you want. This whole thing about casual fans, like, this is going to draw in a far younger audience. Like, I know less than 50% of the people I know still have traditional cable. Like, it's just, it's not something of the future. It's something right now. And this criticism of casual fans aren't going to find it. That's why, once again, local fans or local clubs need to cater to their local audience to make sure that they're engaged. They're the ones that want to go out and watch their team play every week. And it's not about doing, you know, the rating system has been flawed for years. It's not all that correct. And I don't think that this matters. When you're streaming, you're providing a platform. There's a cost for it. Rather than going to a buffet, which traditional cable was before, this is a menu. Order what you want. If you're into Major League Soccer, if you're into the Canadian Premier League, if you're into the English Premier League, if you're into like, you're going to be able to decide what you want to watch. I'm sorry, like, I don't have Disney Plus in my house. I just That's one of the things I don't choose to have. I don't choose to have traditional cable, right? So, like, these are all choices that all of us need to make, and it's capitalism, baby. This is what it's all about, right?
Yeah, no, and I mean, the writing's been on the wall for many years. I remember going back a decade ago, a lot of people starting to talk about cord cutting, and I remember thinking, well, how is the industry going to survive? It finds a way to survive. Well, where are the people going? They're going digitally. And a recent study was just released about here in Canada. We're just about 50-50. 50 people with cable, 50-50 who have cut it. So nobody, I'm going to guess, you rarely go back, right? So the people who cut rarely go back. It only goes forward. And this is what MLS obviously
But you can
has
still
changed.
get all the other regular channels. You just need to stream them. Just don't get it through cable. But instead of paying $70 for a basic cable package, which I don't need or watch,
You
now
go a
I
la
can
carte.
just order the channels that I
Yeah.
want. I don't know. It seems a decent compromise to me.
So we'll see what this
Just
deal means moving forward. One more, Ollie?
just quickly, one more thing I forgot to mention. Going to Wednesday night and Saturday nights as consistent match days, I think, is a fantastic idea. That's a big part of this as well. Stop trying to have games scattered all over the place. Fans don't know when teams are going to play. You're trying to own every single night. It's impossible. Be really focused and concentrated on specific times. I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Andy, I think you pointed this out to me on Amazon Prime, by the way. There's a 4-part series about the history of the Premier League.
Yeah.
Just watch it back, because when it went to satellite with Sky, everyone, oh, it's what's that? And obviously it completely changed the game on the field. And they still deal with blackouts in the UK. There's going to be no blackouts, every game available.
Mhm.
I think this is the win.